Welcome to the Explosion Network's Doctor Who Aftershow. Fish, Fingers and Custard. Got him. 100% right every time. This week, of course, we'll be talking about this week's episode. We'll be going through the usual spiel. Joining me, as always, Ashley Hobley.
Yes, always.
Always. Well, I highly doubt at some point. If you're sick, there'll be 2 episodes the following week, I guess.
Yeah, probably.
So this week we're going to be talking about episode 1102, The Ghost Monument, which was directed by Mark Tonderai, written by Chris... what did we decide it was?
Chibnall.
I got to go for a whole, Chibnall. Okay, got it.
Chibnall.
It's all right. I got it. It's okay, everyone. I understand how you say the name. It's not going to take me all season to get the names. It's fine. Although these guest actors that they're having, that's a whole different issue that I'm not going to bother talking about because they're only on one episode each, so they can worry about it. So this week's episode synopsis is: still reeling from their first encounter, can the Doctor and her new friends stay alive long enough in a hostile alien environment to solve the mystery of Desolation? And just who... I couldn't... Do you remember how they pronounce her name in the episode? Is it Angstrom or Angstrom? I'm saying Angstrom.
I can't remember.
Or from now on, I'll just refer to her as Ange.
Yeah, sure.
And Epzo. See, Epzo was easier to remember because it kind of just rolls off the tongue, I feel.
I feel like they said his name more.
Probably because she was yelling at all the time. Epzo, you dickhead! What are you doing? Yeah. You got shot, mate. Need help over there. What are we doing? What was your overall thoughts for this week's episode then?
It was okay.
It was okay?
Yeah. It wasn't anything special. It was just sort of a standard, kind of forgettable. If it wasn't for that last scene, this would be just a forgettable episode of Doctor Who, in my opinion.
I honestly feel like often the second episode of every new Doctor is the worst of the entire run.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
I feel like it's just a thing to have a second episode that's somehow terrible, especially in their first seasons. I'm not saying this one's terrible. I'll say that I thought it was okay. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't bad. It wasn't super great. It was just okay. I think
I'm grateful that you've got all your points of what happened in the episode, because to be honest, I can't really remember what happened in this episode.
Well, I mean,
the finer details, yeah.
As the person running the program, it's my job to have the notes, yes.
Yeah.
Or else we just turn up here and go, well, do you remember when this happened? Did that happen? Yeah, that's not very eventful. But I'll say there's things I liked about it. The first thing I liked is the music was good. And the one thing I more importantly want to point out, that I can't get over how cinematically Doctor Who's being shot at the moment. I'm finding it weird. Like there was a certain point there where I'm sitting there and they have all these sweeping beach shots and, you know, all the shots of the boat going along the ocean or river or wherever the lake, wherever he was at that point. And all these sorts of things. I'm like, what am I watching Game of Thrones? Like, quality wise, it just felt weird for Doctor Who. I'm not saying it's a bad thing because obviously they're really good shots and they look beautiful and whatever else. However, we're used to we don't have a lot of money BBC value to the show, you know? And the worst thing that could possibly happen now, though, and they're opening themselves up for trouble, is because of how much better the show's being shot. That means the second one of the monsters' costumes, special effects, anything along those lines is out of line, you're going to notice it a lot more easier, and it's going to stick out like a sore thumb, I feel. Because at least before, it was shot like a BBC TV show, and the special effects were like a BBC, you know what I mean? Like everything was kind of average central. We're just in average street for our special effects and cinematography and whatever else. So
it was a little bit campy.
Yeah, a little bit campy. But now that they're like, we've got this really, you're watching a fucking movie cinematic shots happening around here. That means that if any of the other elements are bad, they're just going to stick out way more. And that's a potential problem that we're going to run into, I feel, you know. So even in this episode, where I feel the story was meh, you know, it was whatever. It was a story. It's not the worst I've seen Doctor Who by far. However, at the same time, it was just a meh, whatever episode. And I do feel that when you have these big cinematic shots and whatever else, if the story's just meh, it's sticking out a little bit more than if it had been like everything in subpar central. Are you noticing the cinematography and everything a bit more? Or?
Yeah, it definitely does look better, and it's like they've put more effort into it looking prettier. But I guess the world of this episode sort of lends itself to that. It's the desolate landscapes and that sort of thing. So
yeah, but I feel like before they just would have.
It feels like they're getting away from England as well.
Yeah, well, we know they're going to come. They are going to come back at some stage. Like we do know in like not next week's episode, the week after. I'm pretty sure that they're like back in Yorkshire, wherever the fuck they're from.
No, but it definitely looks like it wasn't shot in England.
Yeah,
I don't. Yeah. Nothing in England looks like that. I can't imagine. Yeah, so.
You're like, I definitely know that nothing in England looks like that. But another thing before getting into the actual episode itself, we did get the opening credits for the new Doctor this episode. We didn't get on last week. I was wondering, I forgot to mention it last week, when I went back to check everyone's names or something, I went back to check last week before we did the show. I went back and I'm like, maybe they'll add it in iView or something like that. And like, they just didn't have the opening title on the normal airing version or something, but that first episode just doesn't have it at all. So this is the first episode that had it. How do you feel about the bass thumping Doctor Who thing?
Yeah, it looks cool. It's a cool effect. I guess the moving liquidy space thing. I don't know what to describe it as.
Yeah.
One thing I did notice was there was no TARDIS in it, which I feel like most of the openings have the TARDIS in it.
They usually do, you know, it sweeps in around or whatever, especially towards the end.
Which I thought lended itself to your idea from last week, which was that they don't find the TARDIS till...
That got proven wrong. Well, not exactly quickly, but by the end of the episode, it got proven wrong.
Yeah.
I unfortunately had that spoiled for me before I watched the episode as well. Only a couple hours before I was about to watch the episode, someone that had pictures up online. Like, here's the TARDIS. What do you think, everyone? And I was just like...
Son of a...
Like, this is... Come on. It doesn't even air in a lot of countries. Like, it hadn't aired in America at the time or anything. It's just, come on. Spoilers. Don't do it. Don't do it.
British people.
It was in America. It could have been an American that was legally downloading it for all we know. You don't know what they're doing. Let's jump into the actual episode though. So we're going to go through bit by bit, roughly go over the plot, what happens, la-di-da-di-da. So, of course, the episode starts with the Doctor and everyone floating in space where, I mean, I'm pretty sure you guessed it right, didn't you, last week? Didn't you say there's a random ship to show up or something? So, I mean, that's what happens. In fact, two random ships show up to collect them, which is even better, you could say. Two random ships is better than one random ship. So the first
is.
Yeah. The first ship that we see has Angie in it. Or whatever. No, it's Angie from now. Who's played by Susan Lynch, who picks up Ryan and Graham. I don't know how they don't, like, because they're all together when we see the shot as the episode opens, but then somehow they're all drifted. I don't know. And then the Doctor and Yaz are picked up by Epzo, who's played by Sean Dooley, who I did know because he was from, I recognized him from something and I looked it up. I was like, Misfits. That's what he was from. Misfits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He did a season or two of Misfits. So they pick up, and you got them on these two different ships. They get talking. We're getting different stories. They're both pretty much saying, Angie and Epzo are yabbering on that they reckon they've picked them up as like extra lives. I don't know. They're in a game of sorts that we can gather, and they've picked them up because they thought they were part of the game, I guess, is the thing. Look, I don't want to go here because I don't want to start saying that this entire scene is going to be ripping off movies, but Hunger Games. No? We've got zero, even a little bit of the Hunger Games going on here, a little bit of Battle Royale, something going on here, you know?
I guess a little bit.
A little bit of Battle Royale-ish. Like, not even...
I mean, it wasn't last man standing, it was first to the finish line, so... More like Rat Race.
Rat Race.
Is the reference I saw online. So.
Okay. Really?
Yeah, someone mentioned Rat Race.
Okay. So they're on the ships, and then Angie and her crew, they end up finding this planet that she's needing to go to, the final planet that they're on about. It's the final planet, which when they first sang that, I'm like, the final planet? Oh,
I thought it was like the last planet in existence.
Yeah, in existence. Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, I in my mind, I'm like, oh, so the TARDIS has traveled in time to the end of the world type period, and it's like the final planet or whatever. But no, it's, of course, work it out later, it's the final planet in the race, is what it is. So her crew lands there safely with Graham and Ryan. That's going quite all right. Epzo, though, fucking losing half his ship, has to shoot that off. I don't know. He picked them up by picking the Doctor and Yaz up. He somehow damaged his ship from something. I didn't really gather what the whole thing was, but he damaged his ship is the key thing, I guess. And then they proceed to crash land drastically into the planet, nearly hitting Graham, which would have annoyed me, because I'm going to go out on a limb right now, Ash.
There's a whole planet, and they managed to almost hit him in this tiny... Yeah.
Well, it's a very small planet, is what I'm going to feel now. But I'm going to go on a limb now. Looking back on this episode, and how I feel about certain characters coming at the end of the episode, and then thinking about it, the fact that they nearly killed poor old Graham, and I'm going to say Graham is my favourite of our new friends.
I have no feelings towards any of them.
Come on, we're 2 episodes in. Put your dice down. Who's the best? Who's the best?
I mean, Graham's probably the most different of all the companions we've had recently, so I appreciate that. But yeah,
he's just an old dude, you know. He's just an old dude out there getting on. You gotta get on with life. What's he supposed to be doing? Yeah, I think Graham's doing the best, but. So that they crash land, and then we learn that they're basically in this Hunger Games rat race, Battle Royale without killing, but technically 3,998 people have died before them, because we find out in just a little bit there was a total of 4,000 people involved in this competition, and there's only 2 left. So you're saying there's no killing? Maybe not. Well, hold on. Let's put a pin in that. Let's break this down, Ash. Yep, put a pin in that. We'll come back to that in just a second. So they land on the ship. They land on the planet. They get arguing. They're like, whatever, we got to get on. So they walk to this tent. They're like, how the fuck? You can tell Angie and old mate hate each other. They don't really like each other, but they got to do what they got to do. Yep. So they walk over to this tent. And inside the tent, we learn that there's this dude in there. His name is. His name's. I was trying to work out. It's Ilan or Ilun. I don't know. I'm going to go Ilan. So you got Ilan played by Art Malik, and he's the one running the show. He's sitting there. He's only a hologram, but he's the one who's putting up the money for offer, whatever else. He's like, this is what we got to do. You've got to go over there. You got to find the what the fuck is the episode title again? You think Ghost Monument. You got to find the Ghost Monument. That's there. That's where you got to get to. That's where the winning prize is. He says, specifically, No guns, no weapons, no killing each other. It's just a race to get there. Now, let's unpin my pin.
Yep.
He puts these specific rules on for this challenge. We do not know that if previous challenges before this had the same rules.
I feel like it was no killing. It was just super dangerous. Because well, you look at what they have to do to get to the end of this, and you go, "Oh yeah, it explains why a bunch of people killed off."
I'm just saying, 3,998 people. That's a lot of
high number.
That's a high number of accidents. You know, that is a lot of met their demise by means of accident happening around the galaxy. Can't tell me there wasn't at least one of these challenges where they had guns. Oh, I missed my favorite line though. That's what I missed. On the way over to the tent, this is my favorite line of the episode. Way over to the tent, they're walking in. The doctor says, you know, "Here, Graham, do you want these glasses?" He used to have these glasses. Pulls them out, puts them on. Graham looks like a champ in them.
Are they the Sonics? No, they weren't the Sonics.
They're not. At first, I thought they was. I'm like, oh, she found the glasses. That's what she's giving him, the 12th Doctor's glasses. But then as soon as Graham put them on his face, I was like, that's not them, because his glasses were, like, I knew the shape or whatever. These ones were more like curvy, pointy at the...
Well, does it change like the Sonic changes?
No, the Sonic has to be rebuilt. So she has a bit, but she says they're Pythagoras. Say it.
Pythagoras's.
Thank you. Pythagoras's. See, now that you've said it, I can say it. Pythagoras's glasses. To which Graham then replies, "Pythagoras never wore shades." And then Doctor says, "You never saw with a hangover." How good was that? It was a good exchange. That was top dialogue. No?
Thank God they acted it better than you did.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, didn't do too great. So back to the challenge. So we find out it's a galaxy-sized race for money. It's like 4,000 credits or something, which, to be honest, doesn't seem like that much to me. But, you know, if you're comparing it to dollars, $4,000, what they've gone for it, you're like, surely that's not much. But
I just enjoy the exchange rate constantly. You're trying to explain how much money
works and stuff. Yeah. It's like one of those. It's like, it doesn't really matter. It's gibberish. It's a lot of money.
It's all gibberish.
It's just it's a lot of money is what we need to go. And it's a race that's gone around 12 different galaxies. It does sound like a plot for a movie, though. Across 12 galaxies, 4,000 competitors will make their way to the final.
It's like
planet.
Death Race.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it's like a lot of movies. Is what it is at this point.
First episode's like Predator. This is like a bunch of other stuff.
This is like every movie that has
with
a race of some sort, or survival element. Yeah. So then both Ange and Epzo get annoyed to learn that the Doctor and friends were not bonuses of any sort to be picking up, and Epzo is particularly annoyed to learn that he lost his ship saving someone's life. Come on now, Epzo.
Terrible.
So mean. So they head off. They're like, all right, see ya, we don't need to hang around for years anymore. Doctor and crew hang around the tent for a little bit to ask a couple more questions. Doctor's sonicking a lot of stuff, trying to find answers, and then she asks old Ilan a couple questions, and then they find out that the ghost monument is in fact the TARDIS.
Shocking.
I'll be honest though, when they revealed it, I was like, oh, that's fairly obvious, really. I should have looked at the title. You know, like if I was a little bit more smarter, I feel like I could have looked at the title last week and gone, "The Ghost Monument, is the TARDIS. Surely it's the TARDIS. That has to be the TARDIS." But no, didn't put two and two together. But as soon as they revealed it, I was like,
it all makes sense.
I was like, it all makes sense. Yeah. So the TARDIS has been apparently, because they talk about this ghost monument, which is the TARDIS, like revealing itself every 1,000 years, or some crap like that, which is funny because the TARDIS has presumably got sent here when it broke. It's just ended up in this one spot, and then for however long it's just been. Well, it could have only been flicking in and out of existence for 5 seconds, but it's come across like 5,000 different years.
Points,
yeah. So you don't really know how it works, but the TARDIS is flicking in and out of existence. It's caught between reality and not reality, I guess, is what it comes down to. So then the doctor and friends both all get together. They're like, we got to go because we don't really care about the prize money, of course, but they are heading to the TARDIS, which is in fact my ship. Do need to get to my ship. That's where I want to go. And when they catch up to Angie and Epzo's holding a gun to Angie. And here we find out
he's going to get disqualified.
Yeah, well, she does point out, make a very good point when she's just like, you're not going to shoot me. Like, Doctor runs up like, there's no shooting. You're not going to shoot us. So just put the gun down, you idiot. But then she uses, and I'm not sure exactly if I wrote it down correctly or if I'm going to pronounce it right. But she says she uses Venusian nun technique is what I heard. Does that sound right?
I have no idea.
She said something because she does like a finger trick move under Epzo's neck that causes him to get paralyzed because he's pointing the gun at her, at Angie. And then she says, yeah, that's a Venusian nun technique. And I'm sitting there like, excuse me, what? But at least now we know the 13th Doctor, not all for weapons, but in this episode twice does use techniques of combat.
Physical force.
Yeah, to at least stop stuff, like actual stuff. Like here's a little technique to paralyze someone. And later on we get the whole sonic blast or whatever it was happening. So I found that interesting because I can't recall any of the last run of Doctors doing any sort of physical martial arts type thing, which is what this is really. I mean, it's a martial arts of sorts, I guess. Then they all get on this boat. And this is the part, this boat legit just reminded me of so many shots out of Game of Thrones. Like when Arya's heading across in like season whatever to the city where she becomes the assassin, whatever, you know. Like when there's so many shots, and I'm just like, apparently we're just looking at like Game of Thrones here, but that's fine. On board the boat, we get a few little bits of different conversations that happen. So you get Graham and Ryan finally try and talk about Grace. When they brought up this conversation, I was like, yes, finally, good. Because as I was pointing out last episode, it was weird that they're just, she's dead.
Straight to a funeral.
They're straight to a funeral. You never see these two, like,
Talk
that's
about
the
it.
husband, that's the grandson. Yeah. You never see them talk about it, connect, or anything like that. So it kind of makes more sense now why they didn't do it in the first episode, because I suppose they're just going to make it a season-long thing for those two to connect and eventually break barriers over, I guess, is the idea. So they spend a little bit of time talking about that, which doesn't really go anywhere.
Nope.
Ryan's
not having it.
Ryan is not having it at all, no, is what it boils down to. And then we get a interesting, I suppose is one way to call it. We get an interesting story from Epzo, who tells a story, basically explains why he doesn't trust anyone, which is because his mum pushed him out of a window or of a height somewhere, and she said she was going to catch him, but then never caught him, and he just smack. And was like, there you go, son. That's why I don't trust anyone. And then everyone in the ship was kind of like, okay, dude, like, just because your mum's a bit of a weirdo doesn't mean you have to take it out on everyone else, but you do you do what you need to do. I can't remember what the doctor responded with, something along the lines.
Something like that.
Something that was like, don't.
Yeah, your mum's pretty terrible or something.
Yeah, something. So then we arrive on the beach. And once again, they had these sweeping shots of the beach as they're walking along and stuff. I just kept thinking about them. I'm like, we got all these cinematic shots. What are we doing?
Yeah.
So when they arrive on the beach, they see this structure up ahead, which is a worn down building of sorts. I thought it was like a mole or something, like structure wise. I couldn't really figure out what it, like that's what came to my head when I saw it off in the distance or whatever, but I don't know. I mean, you have to assume these are placed in real life or something, so I always wonder unless they're just building the outside of it Don't know. So the three parties split up at this point because they're like, well, see you at the finish line, I guess. So Ange goes off one way, Epzo goes off another way. The Doctor and friends hang around. They're like, okay, gotta figure out what the hell's going on here, because those two are just gonna make it to the finish line. We're here to figure out what the prize is, but Doctor, of course, wants to find out what happened, because the Doctor always wants to find out what happens on planets where people have disappeared.
Not a time crunch or anything.
No. Well, I suppose at this stage in her mind, they're not really. Like, even if Ange and Epso beat them to the TARDIS isn't the prize, you know? I feel like that's what...
But the TARDIS only shows itself once every 1,000 years, so if you're not there when it shows itself, you have to wait like 1,000 years.
You have to wait like 1,000 years, that's correct.
Yeah, so...
I feel like the episode would have been a lot more interesting and could have gone for the rat race element if the prize was the Ghost Monument, you know? Because that becomes a very different episode.
Yeah.
They all trying to race each other. They're all trying to get there first. The Doctor's trying to keep everyone from killing each other, but at the same time being like, you can't have my ship. So
yeah,
that would have made some elements of the plot that they already had in there just a little bit more fast paced, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, they head up, and then the Doctor and crew head off down somewhere. I don't know. They're still overlooking the beach. So whatever shot they cut to was of, I guess, they've just walked up to the top. Somehow Ange is already inside. Epso's already inside. Doctor and everyone's just outside, still just looking out over the beach, being like, "What's going on here? What are we going to do?" But they turn around. You got these robots that have arrived. Robots. They got guns, and these are like proper. I didn't realize until Ryan chucked one on his hand later, but these are like proper, futuristic guns where they don't have like a trigger down the bottom. You got to put your hand like inside them, and like the triggers inside and all this sort of stuff. And then the robots are also wearing camo, which I found interesting.
So weird.
Yeah. So they arrive. They're just kind of standing there at first, and the Doctor says, they're chilling. They haven't taken us as a threat yet. We should be fine if we just slowly back away, move on with our lives. Everything should be good. But then, of course, cut across the Epso underground. He spots one. First thing he does, shoot one. They're all going off. All of a sudden, Doctor and everyone are being shot at. And, of course, they got to run. Now, this is the moment where we need to point out what makes these villains bad, Ash.
Yeah.
They are cold. Well, I don't know if this is is it their official name? I don't know. Is it what the Doctor decides that they're called? I couldn't remember if it was their official name or not. But they're called sniper bots. Right?
Yep.
Now, I'm not going to say... Let's just put it this way. Stormtroopers could possibly have better aim. You know what I'm saying? They're running away from them, not very far away from them. And the Doctor says, zigzag. That'll fucking get them. Zigzag. So they begin zigzagging, and they're like, oh, we beat them. We beat the sniper bots. We beat the sniper. Which means...
Sniper, the super accurate.
Yeah.
Don't fire any shots off willy-nilly.
More like spray and pray robots, am I right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Got him.
Got him. So that was one element. It was like, sniper bots, come on, what are you doing? They can't land a single shot. They're not very good at their jobs at all. So they end up underground, and there's all these proper like human-shaped targets or whatever from a shooting range under there, and they work out that they're on a training grounds of sorts. So I presume the robots, but here's where I get confused to some degree. If they're on a training ground, are the robots actually security guards, or are they supposed to be like things for people to train shooting at? Because if they're things for people, if they're robots made to be training elements, why do they have weapons that can kill you? Shouldn't they have like stun blasters at best or something?
Well, when you're at a shooting range, you actually shoot bullets that can kill people. So
Yeah, but training range robots, wouldn't you make them not be able to kill you back? No, I suppose maybe your training's hardcore.
they didn't have time to put the stun button in.
Well, I mean, they can't hit anyone either, so maybe that's their.
Yeah. So what difference does it make?
They're like, what's it matter? They can't hit anyone. It doesn't matter. So Ryan says, "Don't worry, I've got this." Picks up a gun. The doctor, of course, is saying, "We don't use guns. I'm Batman. We don't use guns. I don't like guns at all. I'm Batman." And me and Batman and the doctor and whoever else, we're superheroes and we don't like using guns, of course. So just get
liberals.
I mean, I feel like every doctor kind of needs a scene like this, and because this season, for many years, this season does feel like the reboot or the refresh of the franchise, I suppose. So we're getting a lot of stuff that you'd probably recycling like for new audience and stuff like that. But this was one of those scenes where I'm like, yeah, the doctor doesn't like violence. I'm aware. I know that's the thing. But we have this whole thing where I didn't like this at all. Ryan runs out there, shoots him. He's like, fucking, I'm pro at Call of Duty or whatever he's on about. And then they start getting back up, and I don't know. When he turns around, he's like, help me. And he runs and like falls back down. I was like, what was that? That was weird. Either, I don't know if that was a weird acting choice in the writing, the directing. I don't know who to put at blame for that particular moment, but that was one moment where I was sitting there kind of turning my head. What is that? It's a bit too corny, a bit too on the nose with, oh, look, the person with the gun tried to kill them, but the gun doesn't work. So then, of course, the doctor walks over and is like, I have brain power, and brain power always beats violence power and activates a electromagnetic grenade thing. I don't know. Electromagnetic pulse, which knocks out all the sniper
robots. Yeah.
And has the rough estimate of 5 minutes somehow, but yeah, that's what we're doing. So now we got 5 minutes to get away from the sniper bots, and then she finishes off with a nice line like, "See, I'm smart." This whole section here, I think was the worst. This was my least favorite part of the episode. This whole non-violence part, not because I'm against the doctor not using guns or anything like that. I just feel like it was too on the nose for, we're doing this scene in case you don't know.
And they should have looked to the camera, and then the American, the more you know thing should have come across there.
Yeah, it was just very weird, I felt. Very, very, very odd. Like, the more you know, rainbow comes up and everything.
Or like an anti-gun ad comes up.
Yeah.
Call this number to donate to.
These people are like, wait, this season's 2 SJW already. There's a woman doctor and now there's no guns allowed. What are we doing? There's too much of this shit. So all three parties meet up now as the doctor leaves. And, well, to be fair, also, the Epzo was about to get shot, basically, until the doctor's pulse grenade thing knocked out the sniper bot that was about to kill him. So that's quite lucky. They all meet up together, Anne shows up, and then they all head down underground through one of those really big, proper, we've got a wheel on top of our lock, climb down a ladder to get underground type systems, which I've never seen in real life.
No.
Ever. But they're always in places like this. I've never seen one. I'm sure they exist. Maybe not in Australia. No. Don't know.
Older cities that had older plumbing, I guess.
Yeah, like proper
older countries.
Proper like what they'd use them for, like the proper subway. No, not subway. Sewage systems. Yeah. Which, I don't know if any city in Australia is old enough to have something like that. I don't think so. I don't know.
Think so.
Interesting tidbit, I suppose. So so then they head underground and they're basically in some sort of area where there's computers and bits and bobs. So of course they get to work. Epzo wants to piss off straight away, but the doctor points out that it's going to be nighttime soon, or is nighttime now, whatever it is at the time, and that heading above ground's a bad idea because Ilan warned them to never travel by night for whatever reason. We don't know at this stage. Why do you not travel by night? Don't know. The hologram said so we don't do it, and you won't be able to see things, and you could trip and fall.
Yeah,
and that's disastrous. You don't really want to go through that. So the doctor begins working out something.
How long do you think the night is? Because at the start, I don't know. How did the suns line up? Or
I don't know.
It's like Tatooine.
They could have. Well, the nighttime could have been like 6 hours.
All three suns are on the same side.
Yeah, but I suppose if the planet is really small, and that explains how they somehow managed to nearly hit Graham, and the planet is pretty small, then because the planet would be so small, I suppose daytime and nighttime would rotate every 6 to 10. You know what I mean? Like it just rotate a lot faster, I guess, because the planet would be turning. I don't know. Look, don't try and bring science into the show where the episode starts with a bunch of people floating in space and surviving.
They had to be in medical pods.
Yeah,
there was a little bit of.
They tried to explain it roughly. They're like there was
a little bit.
There was a little bit. They had to have healing of sort. They were outside. They definitely weren't dead though, because that's not anyway. Let's not dwell on that. So Doctor finds this map explaining the area and what's going on and how busy and buzzing it used to be, and then. Outside, I can't remember who finds it now. I forgot to write down who actually finds it. But someone outside discovers outside that there was a message written by, or a symbol or something. I think it's Graham. Graham's like, look, there's a symbol out here. Come read it. The doctor can read it. And it was a message left by the planet scientists who revealed that they had been working on all sorts of weapons and tech for the Stenza, which were Tim Shaw. And that's how big. Well,
that's the aliens from last week.
There, that's it. And in case you didn't know it was the aliens from last week, Graham literally says, "That's like those guys we fought in Sheffield last week," or whatever his line was. Yorkshire last other day, isn't it?
Yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. That's like the Tim Shaw from Sheffield yesterday. That's interesting. Yeah. So they're like, in case you missed the first episode, let's cover that ground for there. But yeah, so I guess this is our big villain for the season, the Stenza. Unless they're going to wrap up that plot line after 6 episodes or something, and then go in another direction after that. I don't know. Well, how do you feel about having the Stenza be the big villain of the season?
I guess it's something.
It's something.
Oh, I wasn't sold on Tim Shaw last week, so
no. Never was I, so...
Oh, no. A race of predator-like people. I don't know.
Can't wait for the season finale where there's a bunch of people coming down and Doctor's fighting a bunch of people with teeth in their face. That's going to be really exciting. Yeah. So, yeah, and then we also find out that the Stenza were the people that were destroying both Ange's and Enzo's planets. Like the Stenza are behind why they're doing the race in the first place. They even explained on the boat trip over here that their planets were being systematically, destroyed. Cleansed, yeah. So some Nazi shit happening, I guess. Is what.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Stenza appeared to be this huge, nasty presence force in the galaxy
that we've never encountered before.
The galaxy is a very big place. Very big place, actually. Very big.
Yeah.
That's the answer to all questions. Whenever Doctor Who does a villain where you're like, how come we haven't seen them before if they're so bad all over the place? The answer is always going to be, the galaxy is a very big place. And time is backwards and forwards a lot. Long. Time timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly. You know what I'm saying, Ash? No?
Certainly do.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. But we have, in just a moment, an even bigger doozy. Bigger tie-in for says, and I've got to be honest, getting two things in this episode that were basically season-long arcs of sorts, or like elements, I was surprised. Because I thought they were going to head, from all they talked about before the season started, I thought Chris Chibnall was talking more about making the show just, yeah, there's a little bit of a overarching plot. Don't really want to make it too complicated. Let's just focus on more villain of the week, old school Doctor Who adventures. Let's just go about that. But then in this episode, it's like, there's an overarching enemy. It's the Stenza. And then we get this other thing in just a moment. It's like, okay, that's interesting. So,
but you need to keep the people who've been watching for a while interested.
I guess so, yeah. I just found it interesting after everything he'd said, I suppose, before the season started. So the Doctor, someone sees on security cameras that the sniper bolts are on their way down. Don't know why they run, because they won't hit you. It's fine. But then at the same time, Epzo was about to be falling asleep, and he gets awoken by an attack snake cloth.
Cloth snake.
Yeah, cloth snake. I don't know. I tried to find out what that was officially called, because I don't recall anyone ever saying what they are in the episode. On IMDb, the voice of the snake cloth serpent things was credited as Remnant. So that's what we're going to be calling them. They're called the Remnants. What are they the remnants of? I don't know. They are snake cloth, monster, people, things. Yeah, there you go. So as they're flaying the sniper bots and everything, they're running off behind all these doors. There is a cool few shots of the Doctor using the Sonic to blast doors shut as she's running through them. So it's like, oh yeah, go Doctor, use your fucking Sonic. She used a lot this season. I'll give it to her. Two episodes in, and I feel like they're putting the Sonic to good use for once. Because especially with Capaldi's run, I was like, the Sonic's just kind of. I suppose having him as glasses doesn't help because.
Yeah,
that wasn't the smartest idea, I feel. So they're running free, and then they have no choice but to go above the ground because they're basically trapped at the end of a corridor where even if they stood very still, the sniper bots would have at least a 1% chance of hitting them. Possibly. Maybe. Don't want to go too far. They could hit them. We don't know. So they decide to go up and above ground and see what's happening there. So they get up, and as they're fleeing, they're attacked by remnants, snake cloth monster things. And they start wrapping up the Doctor and yabbering on about typical villain crap, really. For a while there, for the first 30 seconds or whatever it was very much a villain. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking gibberish, okay? But then they start saying stuff about the timeless child, which appears to be a memory of some sort that is hidden deep within the Doctor's mind, but she can't even remember what they're on about. And then she gets annoyed at the remnant or remnants because she can't remember what they're on about. She's like, timeless child, what? What exactly are you on about? I don't know what you're on about here. So I guess the question is, what do we guess in the timeless child is?
I don't know.
Where are we heading?
I am guessing another Time Lord child, maybe?
You reckon?
Of some sort.
Now,
I mean, it could be the Doctor's daughter from that other episode that we never end up seeing.
Please, no.
No. It could be another case like me from the other season where she suddenly gets immortality or something. A child with immortality. That would suck, probably, but...
Yeah, could be. I feel like it has to be something new. I feel like it can't be something that's tying back to previous seasons. Solely, once again, for me just going, look, Chibnall said in so many interviews and whatever else that, he wants to make it easier for people to watch this that haven't watched old Doctor Who. including the 10 previous seasons, but also the original run, of course. So
Yeah.
I don't feel like this can be a callback to some
No.
really random reference from the original run, or even something from within the last 10 seasons. I feel like it has to be something new. But because timey-wimey wibbly-wobbly stuff, you have to also take into account the Timeless Child might be something that hasn't happened yet, and that's why the Doctor can't remember it.
Could be.
You know? Like...
Dropping in hints.
Yeah. We don't know how these remnant things work. We don't know how they're exactly how they can read your mind and whatever's happening there. So they're picking up this whole Timeless Child thing. Doctor flips out because she doesn't realize doesn't understand what they're on about. And it's very easy to assume, oh, that must be some locked away hidden memory that the Doctor doesn't have access to, which could be the answer, of course. But it is, of course, worth taking into account that it might not have even happened yet. Whatever the Timeless Child
probably hasn't happened.
Might not have happened yet. So I wouldn't put it past that being maybe a season finale type event or something. We'll see.
What if it is something that happened and they have a flashback to another Doctor?
No, please not. Please no. I don't want to flashback to another Doctor. Because who are they going to flash back to?
I don't know. Any of the last 3 or 4.
Whoever they flash back to,
it won't be John Hurt.
Yeah. Whoever they flash back to, if this was a thing they ever did, then you can have everyone who hates it, it's now a female Doctor sitting there going, look, that was the best 5 minutes of the episode. Should just left that person on. Should have done the whole thing. No, don't do that. Do not set yourself up for failure. Shree says that Ashley looks very excited about this episode in chat. Ash has already said he wasn't the biggest fan of this episode, so. No. So yeah, I guess we'll find out more. But I do find it really interesting that episode 2, after everything, overarching enemy Stenza, he's a random doctor related plot line, like a personal type plot line. The Timeless Child, whatever exactly that means. Some bad wolf type scenario happening, possibly. Bad wolf. So the way they solved their problem, I thought was pretty cool though. Badassery happening right here. So Doctor's like, everyone dig your feet in, fucking start digging with your feet. The snakes wrapping her up. What are we going to do? How are we going to get out of here? Oh, that cigar that the sub character's been carrying around and did a monologue about for 5 minutes that has no importance of the episode. But you're wrong, Ash. It has importance of the episode. It's the way they're going to get out of it. She looks over at Graham. She says, you know what to do. You're part of the A-team. Fucking do it. Flick that thing up in the sky. And then they'll dive back. Slow motion. Flick of the fingers. Boom. Why it explode the mole? Why did it explode a mole, Ash? Why did it explode?
I don't know. They omitted some sort of gas that just so happened to be flammable. That was the design flaw.
That's all I was thinking. I'm like, look, I know you're cloth snake monsters and you can't help if you just fart. You can't help if your farts are flammable. But at the same time, don't be out here attacking random strangers if your farts are flammable. You know?
Why did she ask them to dig?
I suppose... I don't know.
Was the idea that maybe the sand would sort of create some sort of a barrier?
No, I think maybe
it's the only reason that I could think.
I thought, in my mind, it was so they could get a little bit lower in the ground. Because when they all fall back and the blast happens...
It's like a tiny bit. Not enough for the whole body to go under.
No, I don't. It didn't seem like that. But no. I thought that's what they was trying to do. But then when they fall back and the blast is only, a little bit above their faces. So I was like, oh, maybe that's what it is. But at the same time, she wasn't like, dig a huge square inch around yourself. She was just like, dig your feet a little bit in. That'll be fine. Just do it. Not like, fucking dig. we need to get under. No, it wasn't going very well. Blah, blah, blah. So, of course, they escape. And then they head on over to the Ghost Monument, where we've all been trying to get. They walk up in the rock. Apparently that was the only remnants. All of them came. They're not like they're not wild remnants around the island, around the planet Ash, you know.
Were they just in that one room?
They were just in that one room, apparently.
Yeah, okay.
So do not travel at night meant do not travel at night near that one room.
Yeah.
is what I took away from the whole thing. So then they get up to the rock.
Well, they smell fear. So all the ruminants on the planet smell that one bit of fear because they've been hungry. The planet's been empty for forever.
Forever, yeah, it seems, yeah.
So they all came.
I guess
they all farted and died.
They all farted.
Fiery death.
Oh, I love that sentence. They all came and they all farted and died. Oh, help us all. Look, Doctor Who is a family-related show. Fingers and Custard, not so much. They get to the finish line and there is no TARDIS to be found, but of course there is the tent there. Old mate Ilan or Illans or whatever his name was is going to be in there. But now we get into a little bit of a brief argument as Enzo and Ange are like, I won, you lost, I won. Ange is like, you would have been dead if I didn't save your life. Enzo's Epzo, I keep saying his name wrong. Doesn't really matter in the long run, does it? Epzo says, if I didn't have the cigar, we would have all died. And I'm 100% on Ange's side because I'm like, that is bullshit. Like, it's true if you didn't have the cigar, but at the same time, you didn't do anything really. Like Graham picked that cigar off your body, threw it up in the air. You didn't do anything. Epso.
I mean, they had time. They could have just literally raced to the tent to decide who wins.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like, all right, well, you can't decide who's going to win. Let's set the start line back here. 1, 2, go.
Yep.
Which is actually what I thought the Doctor was going to say at first, but then I'm like, oh, yeah. She doesn't even encourage friendly competition.
No.
Well, I suppose it's not friendly when your family's lives are on the line with the money that you need. So yeah, it kind of makes sense that they decide to split it. So after a brief conversation, they head inside. They talk to him. At first, Illans is against it. You know, there can only be one winner. This is against the rules. Blah blah blah.
See, this is why you thought of Hunger Games.
Yeah, the dual winners. Yeah. Spoilers for the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
But then Epso leans in and says, "If you don't give us the win, what's rightfully ours, I will hunt you down, and I will do bad things to you. I won't say kill because it is a children's program, but I will do bad things to you."
Yeah, you should threaten the one person who can get you off that planet.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's all or nothing.
Apparently,
you know, just go for it, all or nothing. What do you got to lose?
That's true.
Yeah. Then he's like, okay, yeah, I agree. 2,000 each or whatever. And then I kind of like the way how quickly they disappear though, because it's like, okay, time to go. And then Ange says, we're taking them with us. And he goes, nah, flicks his fingers and they all disappear.
Yep.
It's like, oh, they're gone. There you go. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone. So Doctor, Graham, Ryan, Yaz, all left alone on the planet.
Yep. That's where the rest of the series is set, on that planet.
Imagine if it was, you'd be like, fuck, I'm out.
It's a drama about survival.
What are we doing at this stage? How is this what we get excited about? Yeah. So the Doctor gets generally distressed here for a short period of time. You know, she rubs it off later, like it wasn't a problem, but she is generally distressed. You know, TARDIS isn't here. What are we going to do? Graham and everyone else is like, well, you know, we'll make it work. It's fine. We'll work out how to survive. You know, we'll do what we need to do. The Doctor's just like, no, we'll all be dead soon.
We're all dead.
We're all dead. We're all just gonna die. Being a little bit negative over here, Doctor. Come on, what are we doing? Pick it up. But then, of course, start hearing the TARDIS's whirling noises in the background, and the Doctor runs off towards it. pulls out the Sonic and brings it back into reality. What I can't really do a good TARDIS sound, to be honest. There you go. Thank you. Good job, Ash. Good job.
It's like heavy breathing.
Yeah. TARDIS shows up. They start heading up towards it. Cool moment where the Doctor walks up, has a hands on it. It was like, oh, cool. You've got a door back that got blown off and whatever else. And it's updated, of course, on the outside as well as the inside. We find out in a minute. But the part where I liked how she had the hands up on it and was like, I've forgot my keys. And then the TARDIS is like, no problem, just opens for her. I thought that was a nice little touch there. And then, of course, everyone heads inside the TARDIS. Well, Doctor heads inside the TARDIS first, and we get a look at the 13th Doctor's TARDIS, and then our Doctor's friends head inside as well, and they all go for the usual spiel of, bigger, how would you all fit inside the police box? Oh, it's bigger on the inside, blah, 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 blah. And then she explains usual, time machine, ship, do whatever we want to do. Everyone says, that's hell of exciting. Let's head off. The one final nice touch was Doctor pulls all the usual sorts of levers, spins things around, and then she pulls the last thing and a bicky drops out. Pops out in the mouth, off we go. Credits.
Yep.
So what did you think of the way the TARDIS looks, I suppose?
It's very alien.
Well, I mean, she's an alien.
It reminds me more of like the 9th and 10th Doctors sort of one, except a bit more glowy. I'm not in love with it, but it'll do. Yeah. I prefer the like 11 and 12 where it's like it feels like people live here, like this is a home. This feels like a place that they stay for a little bit and then go out.
Okay, I was about to say because I mean that never used to be like that, which makes sense because it is a ship,
Yeah,
like it's not meant to be a home to live in, I guess is the important thing to remember.
Yeah.
But I thought it was all right. I wasn't super like, oh my God, it's beautiful, amazing. This looks so great. I'm super excited. But at the same time, I wasn't like, ew, ugly.
No.
I'm open to seeing more of it and liking it more as the season continues. Like, I feel like if she walked in, I was just like, oh, that's ugly. Then I'm just fucked for the rest of the season because the first impression. But my first impression was just, well, that's all right.
Interesting looking.
Interesting. I haven't seen it before. It didn't look like anyone else's, which is like, or nothing. No one particularly stood out to me. It didn't look like anyone's in particular to me, which is good because that means Lisa's going to be something fresh and original for her. Along with the fact her Sonic, of course, looks really different to most other people, so that's good. And then I did like little touches, like at one stage she spins around something, and I think it was like a
it's like a glass TARDIS.
It was like a glass TARDIS, yeah. So she spun that around, and then the fact that this biscuit's shot out of the thing, and I really hope that they show many shots of that throughout the rest of the season, where she's just like, and then always pops in the bicky, and it gets to a thing where it's not even a big deal. Like she's in the background, presses buttons, pops the bicky in, It's just what happens. that's what I really want to happen. One last thing I do want to point out about this episode that I wouldn't say annoyed me, but I guess is a balancing act we're going to have going forward throughout the season, is that Yaz basically didn't need to be in this episode at all. Like she did nothing, right? She had no story, no elements. In fact, you forget that she's basically in the episode. She's there. She does nothing.
Yeah.
The people who get the most
not in your notes at all, except for she was with the Doctor at the start.
Yeah, she's in the Doctor, but I mean, she doesn't do anything for the rest of the episode. And I suppose that's because Graham and Ryan, mostly this episode, they obviously have the boat conversation about Grace and all these other things. So I would presume that, especially when we head into next week's episode, and I think they announced the plot for episode 6. They announced the plots for episode 5 and 6 today, and one of them was about Yaz going back and like seeing her grandmother or something, like back in time.
Okay.
So it's going to be a balancing act throughout the season to give, all of these new characters stories and things to do. Time, yeah. But I do find when you get episodes like this one where a character just kind of disappears, at that point it's like, why do we even have them here? Why redo the story in some sort of way that you could have had her,
especially one episode in.
Yeah. You could have had her disappear, like when the TARDIS blinked out, right? Have her end up on a different ship or something, or blink to a completely random place, and that's where they end up in the third episode. They go to find her at the end of this episode. Like, well, we got to find Yaz. Where the fuck did Yaz end up? We better go find Yaz.
Yeah.
Because, and the counter argument to that is, well, that's silly. She's one of the main cast members. She has to be in every episode. But if they're only going to do what they did in this episode with her, what is the point? You forget she's even in the episode. There's literally no point for her being in this episode. All right. Heading into towards the end of the episode, as we're going to do every week, what are you going to give this week's villain, the Sniper Bot? Rating out of 10, please. Ash.
2.
2. It's 2. Yeah. I'll give them.
They existed and then they shot one person, so 2.
Look. Yeah. I'm struggling.
I mean, nobody in Doctor Who is a great shot, but
no.
If you're going to call them sniper bots,
yeah,
they have to be a little bit accurate.
Yeah, I'll jump on the 2 bandwagon with you. I feel really bad if I give them a 1, and I really wanted to give them a 3 or 4 just to be like, oh, they were designed kind of cool, but they weren't threatening. They were a bit silly. They were a little bit of nothing. Just
they were
whatever.
Just there to be a threat.
Yeah, and I understand that maybe because we had Ange and Epzo in the episode that they didn't want, a super interesting villain to kind of take away from these 2 other characters that we spent a lot of the episode with. But at the same time, come on, sniper bots that can't hit anyone. Is this a joke? Is this television
just
series
bring
a
back
joke?
something that we know at that point. If you're just going to put some bland thing, I know you don't want to do that, but
yeah,
just chuck the Cybermen or Daleks.
No, come on, let's not go that far. Let's calm down, Ash.
They would have fit the exact same role.
Yeah. I feel like Daleks hit more than sniper bots though.
Yeah.
And if Daleks miss, you're not like, well, they were called sniper Daleks. So they should have been hitting, We gotta work it out.
Not yet. That's what we're going to get at the end of the season, Sniper Daleks.
Sniper Daleks. It's all coming together. Stenzar and Sniper Daleks teaming up to rule the world.
No, the Daleks take over the Stenzar and then they put the square head thing
in the head, yeah.
And then the stalk's got teeth on it as well.
Okay. Any final thoughts on the episode?
I think it's not good.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Average.
It's a throwaway.
Mediocre.
Yeah. It's a, I've watched it once. It was fine watching it once, but if you got the box set, to be fair, there's always these episodes every season. It's fine. But it is like when you get the box set and you click play, this episode comes on, you're like, nah.
Yeah.
Skip. Next one.
Skip.
Not necessary. The only, maybe if you're trying to do a canon run of this season, you'd skip to the scene where you're like, oh, Stenza, skip. Oh, Timeless Child, skip next episode. Like, there's the rest of it, just like, don't really care about any of this. Yeah. But I'm fine with that. As I said, I do feel like most second episodes, for some reason, are always just a big, like, especially the first episode's like, oh, yeah, that's really good. Yeah, and then we gotta go down and come back up. But what can you do? Yeah. Especially annoying when the villain's bad and I didn't find the sub characters particularly interesting either. There's other thing. It's like Epso's a dickhead, so I don't like him. But then Angie wasn't super interesting either to balance it out. It was just like,
I'm on her side because he's an asshole, but I'm not on her side because I'm like, she's super interesting. Wow, like I'm really intrigued with it. He has way more character and got way more moments. Like he gets
Yeah.
some monologue about his mum and all this other sort of stuff, but just to make him out to be a bit of an asshole.
Well, she talks about her family's getting hunted and that sort of thing, but
Yeah,
that's about it.
and just, but whatever. Anyway, thank you for joining us this week for Fish Fingers and Custard, the Explosion Network's Doctor Who after show. We'll be back next week with a better episode, won't we, Ash?
Hopefully.
How good's next week's going to be?
I know it's got Rosa Parks in it, so
10 out of 10.
can't say anything bad about it.
You can follow us on Twitter at Explosion Pod. You can follow Ashley on Twitter at Ashley Hobby, ASHLEY. You can follow me on Twitter at Viladil, VIVALADIL. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Explosion Network. You head on over to explosionnetwork.com for all news, articles, reviews, podcast shows, things, and of course head on over to twitch.tv/Explosion Network where we record this show live. Watch mod VODs there, many other shows, things, exciting things happen. Just make sure you follow, ring all the bells that are applicable to whatever service was just mentioned, and click all the buttons for things that make sense for other things. If you want to listen to this as an audio only show, it's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Spotify, and it's on other ones. I don't know the full list, Ash. I don't know the full list, but it's fine. Go forward in time in your TARDIS and tell us the full list of all podcasting services that will be available by 2025. Until next week. Bye.
Bye.